I was like really driven to kind of like do everything I could to be the best that I could.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Odd Tandem. Today we have, I think, yes, absolutely, our youngest ever podcast guest, Mr. Ashlin Barry. You know, he's not even 18 years old. I think we were making him a little bit nervous, Yenzi. He kept clicking a pen, and we can't edit that out, so excuse us for that. Jens joined us after a photo shoot in Paris for the company iFit that he's recently done some work with. So this one is going to be a little bit special. But Yenzi, what a great talk we had with Ashlin Barry today. What did you think of what we spoke about?
It was a great talk indeed. Despite the fact he's so young, he seemed to be quite mature. The answers he gave us about the future, where he's going to live, what happens in the next weeks, what happens in the next months in his life. It was pretty cool. It looks like the kid has a plan, and I would be surprised if he is one of the future great bike riders, and we so going to enjoy watching more of him.
Yeah, he made such a great impression. You know, he's finishing school, and a very hard school at that. He's balancing his career on the track and on the road. Awesome kid with a very bright future ahead of him. So please sit back and relax and enjoy our great conversation with Ashlin Barry. Welcome, Ashlin Barry, to The Odd Tandem.
Hey guys, thanks for having me.
Man, thanks for taking time for us today. We are recording a little bit earlier because you had some school. So good on you for that, thinking about school. Welcome to the podcast. We're going to start out with a couple quick fire questions just to kind of get to know you and break the ice a little bit. So short questions, short answers. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. What is your favorite subject in school?
That's a tough one. I take a exercise phys class that I really like, so I'd say that.
All right. I don't know if they call them these anymore, but I'm going to go out on a limb. What is your favorite video game?
Oh, I don't know. I haven't played video games in a long time, to be honest. I think I liked Fortnite a few years ago, so I'd say I'll go with that.
Good for you. Good for you. Okay. What's your favorite food?
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
Yeah.
Okay, last one. And you will be judged. What is your favorite genre of music?
That's another tough one. I don't know. I've been listening to a lot of like EDM and house music recently, while riding, so maybe I'll say that, but I like everything, so.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Jens is a bit of a Metallica fan. I'm more of a rap hip hop sort of guy, but you know, you young kids with the techno music, you know, that's good. But so, Ashlin, you come from a long line of cyclists. Your grandfather started a bike shop, Mariposa bike shop up there in Toronto. Both your parents were professional cyclists, and it looks like you're following in their footstep. Has it always been about the bike, or were you ever interested in other sports, played other sports?
Yeah, growing up, I don't know, I never really thought about cycling too much. Like when I was really young, I played a lot of different sports. And it was never really like my parents like forced me to ride a bike or like made me watch races, or I don't know, like they just kind of encouraged me to do whatever I was interested in. So yeah, when I was young, like I played hockey and soccer and like just pretty much did everything I could. And then as I started to get a little bit older, like, well, not that old. So like, I don't know, 11, 12 years old. Um, I kind of started doing like more endurance sports. And I really enjoyed running. So I was on like my school track and cross country team and would actually run a lot with my dad. Um, and then I think it was around that age, or maybe when I was a bit younger, I started watching cyclocross races with my dad. Like, I think it was when Vanderpool and Van Aert like first started racing, or like started racing elite. So they were probably like 19, 20 years old or whatever. Um, and I was super like captivated by it. And I told my dad I wanted to try racing. So yeah, the first race I ever did was a cyclocross race. Um, and I had a lot of fun. I really liked it. And then yeah, I was pretty young then, so I think maybe like a year or two later, I was like, okay, now I want to do like a whole season of races. So then I think that year I probably did like 6 or 7 races or something. And then I just sort of started to get more and more into it. Um, but still did other sports. And then yeah, probably when I was I think like 13 or 14 years old, I went out to the velodrome in Milton, which is near Toronto. Um, and I started riding there. I got certified on the track, and that was like right when COVID hit. And then yeah, when COVID hit, like pretty much all I did was ride my bike. Like I would go mountain biking with my friends all day, and then on the weekend, like maybe I'd go for road rides with my parents. And yeah, that was I think just when I kind of started to fall in love with the sport, and then coming out of the pandemic, I started to race on the track, and that was around when I started to like focus more on cycling, and like I sort of maybe realized it was something I could do in the future, and like I just wanted to keep racing at a higher level. So yeah.
So it looks like you were slowly getting into cycling. Would there be a specific moment when you realized, I actually think I'm good at this? I could make a life or a future or a career out of this?
Um yeah, I think it came pretty slowly. Probably when I first started racing on the track was when I realized that a bit. Like I think during COVID, I definitely developed a lot physically. I probably grew like half a foot, and just yeah, just like completely changed. Um and then yeah, I started racing on the track, and like before when I raced cyclocross and mountain bikes, like I was pretty good, but it's not like I was winning everything, and they were just like little kids races, so I didn't really know. But then yeah, when I started racing on the track, I realized like, oh, okay, I'm actually pretty fast. Like maybe this is something I could be good at. And then yeah, over time I just kept progressing, kept taking little steps, and then I think yeah, I guess there wasn't like one specific moment, but it just kind of went little by little.
I'm just kind of silently laughing to myself when you were like, when I was young, like you're not even 18 yet. And it's just funny coming from you. But to our viewers and listeners who don't know, Ashlin's parents are Michael Barry, who we race with Jens in the World Tour. He was a member of U.S. Postal and Sky. And then I started racing as a junior with Dee Dee Demet Barry. So I've known her a long time, and it's just really cool to see so many of our competitors, our friends, our countrymen having kids that are now getting into the sport that we love so much. And in this case, huge future ahead of you. But talking about future, I was going through some old stuff in my attic, and I came across a resume that I made when I basically was your age, when I was transitioning. I was a last year junior transitioning to a first year elite rider. And this is kind of funny because this is me at basically your age writing a few things, and I won't go through it all, but I wanted to share with you the goals. So I had a short-term goal, an excellent transitional year for 1990 based on a very thorough and rigorous winter training program. Long-term goal, to participate and help America medal in the 1992 Olympics. That didn't happen until 2004, but I was there with your mom, and she got a silver medal, and I wound up getting a silver medal, so a little bit. And then the other long-term goal was to become a professional bike racer and prove my skills as the ultimate stage racer. I go through certain things, but one of the funniest things that I put down here at the bottom is I'm still attending high school until January 15th, 1990. At that time, I will be available for any team function. Next year, I hope to race for you, not against you. Like, I was sending this out to teams. Like, I cannot believe I wrote that sort of thing. And, you started racing, and, last year you were on the EF Education On2 junior development team. And then this year you made a step to I may butcher this, the Jeg Skill DJR Academy Club. So I envision, knowing that is basically the team, the junior team affiliated with Visma-Lease A Bike, that you didn't have to send out any resumes. I would assume they kind of came to you. But how did that work when, switching teams, as a junior and signing kind of like a long-term development deal? Tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I think you're right about the resumes. I think, yeah, everything's kind of on the internet now. You have like pro cycling stats, and all the teams want access to riders' training peaks and things like that. So, yeah, kind of midway through last year, I'd say some teams started to reach out to me and show interest, after I had some pretty good results in the spring. And yeah, I guess sort of I started like initial discussions, like just meeting team managers, things like that. Um, and yeah, I guess that was when I started talking to one of the managers from Visma. And straight away I got a super good feeling for them, and yeah, they showed a lot of interest in me. And then yeah, I guess those discussions didn't really continue until after the World Championships. So pretty late in the year, like I guess kind of end of September, start of October. Um, and that was really, I guess, when I started to consider like switching teams or signing a longer term contract. Um, and then yeah, when they offered the contract, it was uh for to race with the junior team next year, but then also to sign U23, and then eventually it was written in that I'll have a transition to the world tour with the team. Um, so yeah, like I was pretty surprised by that, and yeah, I think I jumped at the opportunity pretty quickly. Just yeah, it's been my dream for at least a few years to be a professional cyclist, and I didn't expect for that offer to be on the table so early. Um, so yeah.
You mentioned the word training peaks. I think when Bobby introduced me to training peaks, we were what, in our mid 30s?
Yeah.
Right, Bobby? Mid 30s. Since when you use all this technology, like, whatever SIM or power measurements you have, the heart rate monitors, all the science training peaks. Since when you do that? Since your first pedal stroke, that's how it goes these days for the kids? Do you go training peaks first thing?
No, I wouldn't say it was that early for me. But yeah, I think when I started to get more into like um when I started to like do more running and cycling and things like that, I was like really driven to kind of like do everything I could to be the best that I could. So I started like logging what training I was doing, and like I would like get my dad to give me like what like intervals I should do this day. And I mean, yeah, he would kind of just like tell me to go ride my bike, but I was like trying to be really I don't know, like focused with stuff. So yeah, I've had a log of my training for quite a long time, but I didn't really start using a power meter until a couple of years ago, probably when I was like 14. And then I would also only have it on some bikes. So like I had it on the track bike, but not like my gravel bike or my mountain bike or whatever. So yeah. And then maybe when I was really young, I would have like some power files from when I rode on the trainer. But yeah, I think probably when I was like 15 was when I like started having a power meter on pretty much everything.
Oh man, this is another thing that I pulled out of the archives. This is, I don't know if you can see it perfectly, but that was my bedroom at my parents' house. And I guess I turned it into kind of like a vision board. And looking at some of the photos up there, uh, Nelson Vales, Connie Carpenter Phinney, Davis Phinney, of course, Greg LeMond, Bernard Hinault. There's one of Sean Kelly there, Eric Vanderarden. I mean, I had just so many fans, or so many idols. Um, what did your childhood bedroom look like? Was it anything like that? Did you have pictures of your idols? And if so, which were they? Who were they?
Um, no, to be honest, not really. My room's never been like that decorated. Maybe I had like some cool stuff from my parents, like I don't know, some like a little poster from the World Championships or something, but it wasn't necessarily because it had anything to do with cycling. Well, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I never really had anything like that in my room. Now maybe I have some trophies and stuff and like cool things that I've gotten at races. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to say. Uh, I think in terms of idols, I definitely have looked up to Van Aert and Vanderpool like over the last few years. Um, like I think, like I said, I started watching them on the cross bike sort of when I first started like watching bike races and like started to understand what cycling was. I watched them race cyclocross and then transition to the road and wind tour stages and monuments and all these things. And yeah, I definitely say I like I look up to the way that they race, but um, also just like I don't know who they are and yeah, I definitely say like those two guys have been my biggest idols in cycling over the last few years.
And it looks like you're gonna be racing with them in the close future, right?
Yeah.
And what is the really close future look for you like? You're gonna finish school. How much longer? 2 months, 6 months, 12 months, 2 more years? And you have any plans on relocating yourself to be closer to the team, or you gonna stay with your parents? How is this all gonna work out in the next 1 or 2 years?
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy for me to think that I'll be racing those guys in a couple years. So I'll kind of have to make that transition mentally to from seeing some guys as like idols versus like competing against them. But yeah, so I'll finish school or I'm set to finish school in May. Um, and then I'll go over race nationals and then spend like pretty much the whole summer racing in Europe. And then I'll probably be moving. I'm not sure where I'll be moving yet, but probably to Spain in the fall, sometime around then. And then yeah, I'm looking to get settled in somewhere before I start the season next year. Um, but yeah, right now I'm just focused on the races and getting finished up with school. It's been a super busy time. So yeah, but I'm also looking forward to kind of having I guess like a new beginning somewhere else, moving out of living with my parents. So, yeah.
Well, I just want to give you major props for finishing school. There's a lot of kids in your position that have elected to go online. Some guys don't even finish high school. But for you to balance the track racing, the road racing, racing over here in the States, racing over in Europe, and finishing school, I think that is super important. And it was something that we never really had to think about because we didn't have the opportunity to turn pro so young. So to all the young kids listening, follow in the path of Ashlin's footsteps and finish school, because you have plenty of time to ride your bike, but like you would always have something to fall back on. But watching races, right? It's something that's available to all of us. And a very wise man, friend of mine, Rod Ellingworth, when I joined Sky, he had started the Academy program. And one of the things that he really just harped on these guys about, especially when they were young, was to watch as many bike races as possible. Pick up those little nuances between positioning, tactics, teamwork. Do you study the races? Do you watch the races that you're not in that maybe soon you will be, in order to kind of pick up on these little things?
For sure. Yeah. Maybe like I think I do it more just because it's something that I enjoy. Like I just always loved watching the races growing up. Like wake up on a Sunday and watch whatever race is on, like opening weekend or Liège, and then go out and ride. So yeah, I think for me it's kind of just like a habit, but I think last year, I think yeah, it helped quite a bit. Now like all the races are on Velo Viewer, things like this. You can like really look and see and kind of like get an idea of where the key points in the races will be. Um and study the courses. So I found that that's helped quite a lot. But then yeah, also just watching races has really helped me to understand just yeah, the like dynamics of racing and how things work. I think like in North America, unfortunately, there aren't that many races, so you don't actually get like that many opportunities to like go out and try different things and learn from your mistakes. Um, so I think like watching more races can be a super good way to learn and sort of like fill that gap. And now like everything's so accessible. Well, I guess maybe some things are behind paywalls and whatever, but you can watch like a GoPro video from some crit in Belgium, like and just like see what's happening and what guys are doing. So yeah, I've definitely like always done that, and I think it's probably helped me quite a bit.
At your age group, you are not allowed to use the race radios, right?
No,
You
yeah,
have
no
no
race
information
radios.
within the race. So the team
Mm.
meeting has to be super important. And do you then also go before the race on Velo Viewer to see the circuit, to see where it's uphill, downhill, if there are smaller roads, the wind directions, all that? You do that for yourself because nobody is able to tell you in a race, like for us when we were professionals.
Yeah, exactly. So you have to like just kind of know everything yourself and be dialed with it. Like if you're going into like a super narrow, steep 2K climb at this point in the race and the race is probably going to open up there, it's like you have to know where that is and know to be in position at that point. There's not going to be anybody. I mean, maybe one of your teammates will tell you, but you have to know that yourself, and then you also have to be able to adapt to the situation in the races and like be able to communicate with your teammates well. So I think yeah, preparing for the races properly helps with that for sure. Super important.
Dang, I mean, there's just so many questions I have because, I know that you have a road career. You're extremely good on the track. You were based out of Toronto. You got into track racing. You've achieved some great results racing on the track. What do you think track cycling has taught you? Because I never spent any much time on the track, but like now and more, it seems like it's a major advantage, and you learn so much in that around that little velodrome. But in your opinion, what has, other than the great results that you've had, what has track cycling taught you that you're going to take onto the road with you?
Yeah, I think in a lot of ways it's taught me how to race. Like I started on the track before racing on the road at all. And like I said, there's so few road races in North America. Or like if there are road races, you have to travel quite a long ways to get there. Um, so yeah, having the track like an hour from where I live now it's been super convenient. And it meant that like all winter basically I could race every weekend or every other weekend and test my level against guys who are better than me, and then also like just progress and start to learn more about the races. I think the good thing with track is like it's so condensed, so you could do like four races in a night, and you're just getting like constant repetition. Um, so there's direct feedback, like if you mess something up in one race, you can go in the next race and you have a chance to try something different to learn. Um, so for me, like yeah, that was like where I initially learned to race and the importance of tactics. And I'd also say on the track, the speeds are so high. So I don't know, at a world championships, for example, you could average between 55 and 60K an hour. So if you make like a tiny mistake when you're going 60K an hour, it makes a big difference. Like if you pull off and get back in the group and leave a bike lane gap and you have to close it, that's a big effort and it adds up. Whereas on the road, like if you're really strong, you can get away with making more mistakes, maybe. But yeah, it's different, but I think it's just taught me to really focus on things like that and realize that like you don't always have to be the strongest rider to win races. Like you can make the right decisions tactically or be like really efficient and still win that way. Um, so yeah.
I believe a good thing about track racing also is the smooth pedal stroke you get there. Because there's no gear shifting, there's a fixed gear, and sometimes you do 80 reps when it's slow, and sometimes you do 120, 130 reps when you go full gas. So a nice round pedal stroke, I think that's another bonus you get from a track cycling.
Yeah.
You mentioned you started with gravel, mountain bike, cyclocross, track racing now. What made you choose road cycling? Because it's the Tour de France, it has the big classics, or you just like road cycling the best, or you picked it because that's where the bigger future is.
Yeah, I'd say maybe a combination of those things. To be honest, like I enjoy racing on the road more than anything. And maybe that's also where the biggest future is, but yeah, like I think I always I always like really wanted to race on the road. It was the one thing that I couldn't really do much of because like I said, there's so few races like close to where I live. So I raced on the cyclocross bike, mountain bike, but I always watched road races. Um, so yeah, when I finally got the opportunity to start racing crits and doing road races, and I like went to Europe for the first time, um, I really just fell in love with the races. And I'd also say I think physically, like I'm pretty well suited to like longer efforts. So like on the track, if I do like four or five races, I'll usually be my best in the last race when everybody's like suffering and tired from doing so many repeated efforts. So I think that aspect of racing on the road suits me pretty well too, or it has up to this point.
Well, you made quite a splash with some great results your first year as a junior. You turned out to be one of the, if not the highest recruited athlete in the junior category. But racing juniors is not as organized as the pros, right? Everyone knows who you are. You have a target on your back. What is it like racing in the junior category, being such a highly marked rider? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, I'd say that's changed over the last year for sure. I think like last year I started and I don't know, like before you have results and start winning races, people don't really know who you are, or maybe they underestimate you a bit. So you can take advantage of that. Um, to I don't know, like yeah, to help you win. But yeah, I think over the last year it's changed a lot. I definitely find like racing in the States more than anywhere. I have a target on my back. So yeah, it's just changes the dynamics of the races and something that I have to get used to. But it's helped me like uh when I'm racing here, like I everybody's following me. And then like when I went to Europe last year, I didn't really feel like that so much at all. Like I could do my own thing and I was just kind of like one of the other riders. So being able to switch between those race dynamics has helped me also to understand like what I have to do to win in those different situations.
Well, since Bobby and me, we are parents, we are obviously quite a lot older than you. My youngest daughter, she's 14. I guess a lot of our audience is about that age group of Bobby and me. Can you help us quickly with some numbers? Is there still a gear limit for juniors? And what is the gear ratio you can use? How many kilometers per year you cover in races, in training? How long is the junior race normally? Because it's not going to be 200 kilometers, right? Just explain a little bit about junior racing for our viewers. They are as old as us.
Yeah, so there's no gear limits anymore for juniors on the track or the road. I think that's changed the dynamic of the races a bit. It kind of allows the stronger riders to, I guess shine more. Like the gear limits, you'd kind of be like restricted by how fast you can pedal. So if you're in a huge group sprint on the flat, and everybody's doing 130, 140 RPMs, then it's going to be like who can pedal the fastest or who can just be in the best position and like take advantage of an opportunity. Whereas now, like if you're one of the strongest riders, uh, you can ride away. You have that ability, and you don't need to do it on the climbs. Whereas before, I think you would have to a bit more. Um, and yeah, I would also say the depth of the junior field has increased quite a lot. Like you were saying, the number of like kilometers that guys do in training is way higher, I think, than it was before, at least from what I've heard. Um, so like the gap from professional to junior racing has just gotten smaller and smaller. Um, I think last year I don't really track how many kilometers I do, but I think I had somewhere between like 600 and 650 hours. So it wasn't crazy. But like I think over the next couple of years that will for sure increase a lot. Um, and yeah, I think that's something that the teams are maybe looking at more because some guys they're training like pros already, doing like almost 1,000 hours. So I think your room for progression is maybe a little bit smaller in that case.
So, Ashlyn, before we started the recording, you were kind of telling me your upcoming schedule, and I was blown away. Like right now, in what, March the 5th, you're in Toronto. What is your upcoming schedule? You have quite a bit on your plate here pretty soon, don't you?
Yeah, so uh on Saturday I'll be flying to Turkey for Track World Cup. Um, and then that'll be with the elites. So that'll be a pretty big step for me in level. And there I'll be racing the Team Pursuit and Omnium. And then straight after that, I'll fly to Belgium uh, and then do a stage race there with my new team. And then after that, I'll join the national team for a block of races. I think it'll be 3 races, two 1 days and a stage race. And that'll finish with Roubaix, and then I'll fly home. So yeah, it'll be quite a long block. I think close to 5 weeks in total.
And you're going to finish with Roubaix. Wow, that's going to be an eye opener. I mean, probably, you can ask your dad about it, but yeah, that is something special. You should see it at least once in your life, I guess. When you go to the Track World Cup, you have any idea how fast you guys want to go on the team's pursuit? I mean, the world record is what now, at 3 minutes 40? How far you want to go? 350, 355, or you have any idea how fast they want to go?
Yeah, I think it's kind of gonna be a new team with me coming in there. And then one or two other riders. Like it'll so it'll be a bit different. But yeah, we were training quite well. I was in LA for a training camp a couple weeks ago. And we were riding well together. I'm not exactly sure what the goal splits will be, just because it will depend on the speed of the track. But yeah, I think probably we'll be aiming for somewhere around a 350. Yeah, I think with it being like the year after the Olympics, it's kind of just like the first step in developing and putting a team together. So yeah, I'm definitely not going to be breaking the world record, but yeah, we're hoping to take some steps forward.
And just to clear up, Jens, he's mentioned he's going on the national team trip. And I'm happy to say that it's the American national team, because he's got dual citizenship. He just recently changed from Canadian citizenship to American citizenship. So I'm personally invested in watching this progression, not perfection, of the team time trial heading to the 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. This is like you said, the year after the Olympics. You guys are already got a plan in place. The Olympics is a huge thing. Do you see yourself being able to, or would you want to do both the track and the road events if possible, or do you need to focus solely on the track for the Olympics in 2028?
Yeah, I would love to do both if that's a possibility. I think Chloe Dygert and Kristen Faulkner did both. And then Kristen obviously won a gold medal in both the road race and the team pursuit. So yeah, if it's a possibility and I can qualify to do both, I'd love to. Yeah, I think going forward, like the LA Olympics are kind of like a overarching goal for the next few years. So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens, but yeah, I'd love to do both the track and the road, if that would be a possibility.
Is that Olympic track in Los Angeles, is it an older one that gets redone, or are they gonna build a brand new one? What's the situation there for me as a European outsider?
I'm not totally sure, but I think the most recent thing I've heard is that they're going to be redoing the current track. It's pretty old, and it's not like the building isn't necessarily, it doesn't have like the seating and everything that they would need for the Olympics. So I'm not sure exactly what they'll be doing, but I think probably like a year or two out from the Olympic Games, they'll start reconstructing or something. But yeah.
Ashlyn, I'm kind of curious. You have this amazing pathway with, the help of your parents, the help of, the Visma-Lease A Bike team. You're going to finish out your junior year on your current team. Then you're going to move to the under 23 team at Visma-Lease A Bike, and then, have multiple years of a possibility at the world tour. That's an amazing pathway that's just laid out in front of you, right? But if you didn't have that pathway, what do you think you'd be interested in if cycling, if you didn't have this amazing support? What was it? Do you have any other interests or hobbies?
Yeah, if I wasn't cycling, I'd probably just be in another sport, to be honest. I'm not really sure. Maybe like running or rowing or something like that. I really love like endurance sports. I'd probably say what I like most about cycling though is that it's like kind of the combination of like you have to be physically strong and then also like understand tactics and be efficient and like all those sorts of things. But yeah, I'm still kind of like figuring out what I'm actually interested in outside of cycling. Um, so if I wasn't a cyclist, I don't really know what my career path would look like, but um, yeah, maybe I'll figure out the answer to that in the next few years, kind of.
Also, in the next few years, where do you want to be as a rider? What type of rider you want to be or want to become or you want to develop into? You want to do like try for stage hunting or go for some of the classics, try the GC of a 1 week tour, or ultimately want to try the GC in a grand tour. Any dreams of where you want to be in, let's say, 3 or 4 years from now?
Yeah, I don't know. I just love like all types of races, so I just want to do everything and see where I can develop, see where I end up. Maybe the team will kind of have like more of a path laid out, but yeah, for me personally, like I just love to try and win at any race I do, whether it suits me super well or not. Um, I think probably right now, like my favorite types of races are the classics. Um, I just yeah, kind of love like the chaos and I think it suits me pretty well just because I'm a bigger rider and like I have a pretty well-rounded power profile. Like I have a pretty good sprint and like can do good repeated efforts and things like that. So maybe those types of races would suit me best in the future. But yeah, I just wanna do everything and kind of yeah, just see where I can get to.
Ashlyn, I got to compliment you again. I mean, you're taking this like a champ. You're not even 18 years old yet, and we're asking you all these questions about your future, and you're responding very, very well. So appreciate that. But yeah, I don't think anybody had their entire career pathway figured out at your age. But thank you for um, answering what you can. Maybe 5 or 10 years from now, we'll go back and listen to this and have a couple of good chuckles. But like many ex-professional cyclist kids, you were born in Girona, Spain. You live and go to school in Toronto. You've traveled all over the world already at your young age. How many languages do you speak right now, and which would you like to learn in the future?
Yeah, I only really speak English to be honest. I I started school in Spain, and I spoke Catalan when I was younger, and then when my family moved, like I didn't have any opportunity to practice it or keep it going. So pretty much within a year or two, I like completely forgot. And now I'm taking Spanish. So yeah, I think I can sort of speak and like understand most things, but yeah, got to keep working on that. And then yeah, I don't know. It'd be nice to learn some other languages too. Maybe French. Like I know a little bit. I did a little bit in school. But yeah.
So, once the season is done and you have 2 weeks off the bike, what would be a perfect day for you look like in the off season? No training. What would you do? Go fishing, go hiking, reading books, do nothing? What's a perfect, easy, relaxed day for you?
I don't know, that's a tough one. To be honest, like I kind of like enjoy training or like just having something to do, like feeling like I'm achieving something every day. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Probably like sleep in and then just see how it goes. I don't know. I like to like walk around and see things like if I'm traveling somewhere or not doing anything. But yeah, I think like kind of my growing up has always been centered around like um just like exercising in some form. Like in the winter I'd always go like ski on the weekends and or like ride my bike or whatever. and then like hang out with my friends. And yeah, so probably just doing things like that. Maybe just like not on the bike, like I'd go for a hike or something. But yeah.
Oh, to be young again. Remember, we used to bebop all around. Like, no one took naps. You were just going from one thing to another, from training to hanging out with your friends to playing video games to, oh man, it would be nice to have that sort of energy level now at our age, right, Yancy? Okay, we're getting towards the end here. So I'm going to ask one more harder question, or one more prophetic question. You know, it looks like you have a very long career ahead of you if you want it. But if you could only win one race your entire career, which would it be?
I think I would say the Tour, the World Championships. Maybe the Tour, yeah, if I could choose anything.
My last question would be, if you race over in Europe in the spring, you know how you say it's chaotic, it's small roads, it's like, you know, elbows and shoulders rubbing. Would it help you that your mom and dad are there to watch and support you? Or would that make you even more nervous knowing that they're going to be there? Because let's face it, they're both pretty much experts when it comes to cycling, right? So would it make you more nervous, or would it actually help you to feel, I got proper support here?
Yeah, I don't know. I always like having my parents watch, but then again, I also like to kind of do my own thing and like have my independence. So yeah, like I'd be happy. Like I love to have them watch me race, but then at the same time, I like to have space to just do my own thing and like get support from other people, like my coach or director, mechanics, whatever. But yeah, I love like having them there to support me when they can.
Well, it's pretty exciting. I'm sure you're living the dream. You know, we're huge fans. You know, many of us are friends with your parents, and you know, we go on training rides down here in Greenville, South Carolina, and talk about you quite a bit, and excited to watch your progression in this beautiful sport that we love. Ashlin, it's been an absolute honor. Thank you so much for coming on, you know, taking time out of the day and missing a little school for this. And we just wish you all the luck in your future endeavors. Thank you, and respect for everything that you're doing.
Of course, yeah. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm a listener to the podcast, so yeah, really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching the podcast. If you enjoyed our chat with Ashlin today, why not check out our video with other rising stars, Josh Tarling or Thibaut Nice, by clicking right here.
And please remember, you can sign up to our Patreon to get an ad-free version of the podcast, like these great people